Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education Postmaster Certificate in Applied Behavior Analysis virtual webinar. My name is Tanya McMillan. I'm an admissions coordinator here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Also presenting today, I have my colleague from the Office of Admissions, and she will introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Sion John, Assistant Director of Admissions here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Welcome.
Today we also have Professor and Faculty Lead, Dr. Tamara Marder, joining us today as well. Before we get started, I would like to cover a few housekeeping topics. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link with you all via email after the event is complete. Also, please take a moment to see if your microphone is on mute right now. Also, please have your microphone and video off at all times during today's presentation. There will be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation today. You may type your questions in the chat box and we will read and answer your questions. So for today's agenda, I would like to just share a little bit about our school, the School of Education here. Then Dr. Marder will review the details of the ABA program. Lastly, we will wrap it up with admissions requirements and we'll leave the floor open for questions at the end. I will start with some quick facts about the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909 and then became our own school in 2007. We are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. For school enrollment, we have approximately 2,437 students and offer more than 30 graduate programs, which includes doctoral, master's, and graduate certificate programs. We also have a strong network of over 22,000 SOE alums. Now, I'd like to introduce our faculty lead, Dr. Tamara Marder. She is the program lead for the ABA program and has worked in the field of applied behavior analysis since 1994. Her research interests include improving learning outcomes for students with developmental disabilities and autism through effective training and preparation of educators and professionals who provide educational services. This includes training educators on implementing evidence-based practices with fidelity and preparing special educators in the field of applied behavior analysis. Welcome, Dr. Marder. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Tanya. Hi, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with you. I hope everybody is enjoying the start to the summer. I know it's kind of a hot week here in Maryland, so I hope that you are staying cool wherever you are. We are excited to talk to you about the program, about our Postmaster Certificate in ABA. And I really want to start off by talking a little bit about what is applied behavior analysis. And my assumption is that most of you have joined us today and are considering applying to the program, are familiar with the field of behavior analysis, with applied behavior analysis, and know that it's the scientific study of the principles of learning and behavior, really understanding human behavior and why do we engage in the behaviors that we engage in. When we think about applied behavior analysis in education, we look at the systematic approach for applying these principles of learning so we understand how humans learn, and then we apply that to educational settings to improve what we call socially important behavior for all individuals. When we look at the field of behavior analysis, being a board-certified behavior analyst is a graduate level certification. So folks who go through a program like ours, who complete all of the coursework and also complete the fieldwork experience, they can then move on to becoming a board-certified behavior analyst. Behavior analysts in educational settings work in a variety of different roles and settings. We see BCBAs in K through 12 public schools, non-publics. We see BCBAs in center-based programs or home-based ABA programs. And often we see BCBAs working in agencies that provide school consultation. So it's a variety of settings and also a variety of roles, from behavior specialists to special educator, administrator, school psychologists, speech and language pathologists, other coordinators, supervisors, home therapists, administrators. So we can see BCBAs across different settings and across different roles within education. So if we can go on to the next slide, I will talk to you about the different services that behavior analysts provide in these settings. So when we think about what are the different tasks or skills that behavior analysts need to employ in educational settings, we're really focusing on those behavioral assessments, how to conduct a behavioral assessment to understand the behavior and why it's occurring, analyzing data and making that data-based decision. Behavior analysis, we rely heavily on data, and we use that data to make decisions about our instruction for students, as well as behavior intervention plans. Behavior analysts are also responsible for writing and revising intervention plans, training others to implement those plans, and overseeing the overall implementation of plans. And all of this is outlined by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board 5th edition task list. So if you're familiar with the BACB and the task list and the requirements, all of our courses here at Hopkins follow the 5th edition task list, and we are verified to offer those courses. Okay, next slide, please. So our program is specifically designed for educators. So I think I've shared with you from special educators, general ed, coordinators, school psychs, counselors, and the goal of the program is for all of our candidates to learn the evidence-based practice of applied behavior analysis to meet the growing needs of children and students who receive special education services, and also support the career goals of professionals who desire this specialized training. Our courses include 7 courses, which is 21 credits for the postmaster certificate. We also provide 4 practicum electives. So if you are familiar with becoming board certified in behavior analysis, you know that there are fieldwork experience hours, or what we call practice hours, that are required to become eligible to sit for the BCBA exam and become board certified. So we also offer those courses, and I'll talk about that in a few slides. We also offer those courses as electives through our program. And folks who enroll in the program can complete all of the courses and all of the practicum electives if they choose to do so within 3 years. All of our faculty are also board certified behavior analysts. There are folks who are in the field every day, working in the field of behavior analysis, and they join us in the evening for classes to teach all of our students. So they are working in the field every day and then teaching so that all of our students, so they're very familiar with the implementation of ABA on a day-to-day basis in an educational setting. I think I mentioned this, but our coursework is verified by the Association for Behavior Analysis International. This is a very important aspect of our program. All of our courses are reviewed by ABAI to ensure that we include all of the required hours that the BACB outlines under the 5th edition task list. So we are a verified program, and we've had that verification since the beginning of our program in 2013. Okay, so how our program is set up. Students who come into our program can complete all courses and practicum electives within 6 semesters. I mentioned that was 3 years, by taking 2 courses each semester. This is a part-time program. The majority of our students work full-time and they go to class in the evenings. All of our classes are offered in the evening after work in a central location in Columbia. We will be at the Applied Physics Lab, part of Johns Hopkins University, and they are offered 2 nights per week. Our practicum experiences, we offer the practicum courses as electives. students are able to apply to enroll in those practicum courses. It's not required as part of the certificate, but students who would like to gain their fieldwork hours through the coursework that we offer in practicum are able to do so. And our goal is that our students should be able to keep their current positions as long as they are able to, as you know, if they're working full-time in a school setting, as long as they are able to practice applied behavior analysis within those settings, then they can complete their practicum hours in their place of employment. If folks do not have a place of employment that in which they can practice ABA, we do have a practicum coordinator that works with each of our students to ensure that they have an appropriate placement. I'll talk about practicum again in a few more slides. But this is what the course sequence looks like. And you can see that I've included the courses per semester as well as where the practicum electives came in. So if students chose not to engage in the practicum coursework with us, this program would be a 2-year program, and you can see where the electives come in, that would make it a 3-year program. So let me just quickly review the courses with you. In the first semester of the first year, students will take an intro to applied behavior analysis and special education. And I always sort of make the joke that this is like going to a new country and learning a new language, because we really go into all the concepts and history of behavior analysis and how it relates to special education. We really work on those principles of learning and improving our knowledge of all of those different concepts. The other course in the fall semester, the first year, is our research methods course. This is a great course because it talks about how do we analyze behavior and how do we measure outcomes. So how do we determine if our plans are working? This is a research methods course, but it also applies to our practice of behavior analysis every single day within a classroom setting. Then in the spring semester of the first year, we move into our behavioral assessment of challenging behaviors class, where we're really looking at how do we conduct a functional behavior assessment, how do we conduct a functional analysis, and develop appropriate interventions to decrease challenging behaviors. And then the next class that semester will be our ethics class, and how do we conduct ourselves professionally as behavior analysts. This is a very important piece of our profession in ensuring that, one, that we are practicing ethically, but also is a very distinct set of skills to be a behavior analyst. And we go into detail, 2 excellent books that we review in that class. During the second year, we do not have courses in the summer session. So then we move into the fall semester of the second year. And in that course, we work on, that course in the second year is the Behavioral Assessment Instructional Strategies course. And this is really looking at what are those behaviors that we want to increase? What are the skills that we want to teach? And so we've separated that out from the challenging behaviors course, because although when we decrease behaviors, inappropriate behaviors, we also want to increase appropriate behaviors. But we thought it was very important to look at those 2 skill sets separately, although they do go hand in hand separately, so that we can spend the time really looking at the assessment of skills and how to teach those specific skills or those behaviors we want to increase. Then we, if you are electing to do the practicum with us, you would begin in the second year of the fall semester. We like to bring in the second year because during the first semester, the first 2 semesters, that's when you are learning all these new concepts and skills. And then during the second year, you have the opportunity to practice them with a supervisor. In the spring semester of the second year, we move into our newest course, which is going to be offered for the first time next spring, which is our supervision and consultation course. So if you're keeping up to date with the BACB and all of their requirements, this is the newest requirement as of January 2022. So anybody who is pursuing certification after this January 2022 will be required to have this additional coursework on supervision. So this is really about how do we consult with others. As we all know, in education, we work in multidisciplinary teams with a variety of different professionals. So how do we work in those teams to ensure that that behavior analysis or our behavior analytic interventions are implemented. And then also, how do we supervise other people? How do we supervise other people to implement those interventions that we develop? But also, if as you become board certified behavior analysts, hopefully you'll have the opportunity to supervise future behavior analysts. And so what does that entail? And then the second semester of the second year is our second practicum elective. And then finally, we move into the final year where we have our final class, which is called Applications of ABA in the Classroom. This is a really great course because we're really looking at specific issues in education and how ABA plays a role. So we're really looking at a variety of different topics from ABA and autism to ABA and positive behavior supports. We talk about ABA and early intervention. We go into more depth on functional analyses and implementation of functional analyses. So we talk about a variety of different topics. The other part of this class, which is also really exciting, is how to prepare for the BCBA exam. So half that class, we work on specific skills and study skills in order for our students to be successful in taking the exam. So we get you set up to be able to study for the exam once you complete the program. And then the last practicum electives 3 and 4 are offered in fall semester, spring semester of year 3, with all of our students being able to be eligible to apply for and be eligible to take the exam, but perhaps starting as early as August after they complete the program. Okay, next slide. That was a lot of information on that slide. So here are learning outcomes. I'm not going to read all of them to you. You guys can take a few minutes to look at that. As you read this, you can see it really follows along with our courses. First, starting off with understanding and having knowledge of those concepts and principles and using research methods to evaluate, and then going into conducting assessments to identify appropriate interventions for both instructional strategies as well as behavior intervention plans, conducting ourselves in an ethical manner, supervising others, and then finally, the final learning outcome of this program is to be able to pass the exam to become a board certified behavior analyst. So those are our learning outcomes. Our next slide, let's talk about practicum. So over the past 8 years, we have been able to offer our practicum courses. We offer them as electives, and we follow the fieldwork experience as outlined by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, the BACB, which we call concentrated experience hours. So as you know, there are many hours that students of behavior analysis have to complete in order to be eligible to take the exam. So we're able to offer the concentrated experience, which is 1,500 hours of fieldwork experience. And we divide that up across the 4 semesters. So again, these are electives. Students can choose to do the practicum coursework through us. And if they do elect to complete the practicum with us, we provide you with a curriculum across each semester. It's a course that provides you with group supervision 1 hour per week. We also will provide you with a supervisor who will provide you with 1.5 hours of supervision per week. And if we look at that across a 15-week semester, students are able to accrue 25 hours per week, which adds up to 375 hours a semester. And if you do 4 semesters of that, that will equal 1,500 hours. So we have really worked down the formula and the math to be able to provide this. The benefit of doing the practicum with us is that we vet the supervisors. So if you're familiar with completing the field work hours, you know that you have to find a supervisor who is board certified, who meets all of the requirements outlined by the BACB to become a supervisor. Students who do the practicum with us, we provide all that vetting. We have a group of excellent supervisors who we train and work with every single year who provide supervision for our students. We vet those people for you, we train them, we pay them, And so that, that is the benefit of doing practicum through Johns Hopkins. Again, folks may have the opportunity who want to do it on their own. They want to find their own supervisor, and that works fine. Sometimes people have employment where there are board certified behavior analysts who provide supervision on a daily basis already. And so that would make sense that folks wouldn't need to complete the supervision, the fieldwork experience hours with Johns Hopkins. So it really depends, and each student has a different situation. And so, we would work with you to help determine what is the best option for you. The practicum courses, again, are designed to meet the concentrated experience, the 1,500 hours. The one thing that's I think is really great about this program, although we have a curriculum that we follow for each semester, meaning that there are assignments for each semester, there are specific tasks that we like to complete, the practicum is also very individualized for each student. So each student that comes into our program has a variety of experiences and background. So we pair you with a supervisor who has the same experience and background or can expand your experience and background, but also as we do with all of our students, right, we assess our supervisee's skills and then we grow from there. So we help you grow your skills from where you are. So it's very individualized in that sense. We also have a practicum coordinator who is the liaison between Johns Hopkins and your practicum site and your practicum supervisor. So the practicum coordinator makes sure or ensures that practicum runs smoothly, that all your questions are answered, and that your feedback is received. And this is what really makes our practicum a positive experience for all of our students. Okay, next slide. Some additional information. So when students complete all 7 courses, they can graduate from Johns Hopkins with a postmaster's certificate in ABA. When students go on to complete the 4 elective practicum courses, then they are eligible and they accrue all of the hours, the 1,500 hours, then they are eligible to apply to the BACB, including the courses and the electives. Students are responsible for applying to the BACB. We don't apply on your behalf. Students are responsible for submitting all of that documentation. We help you with that documentation, but students are responsible. We don't provide the certification. We provide the certificate from Johns Hopkins, but we don't provide the certification in behavior analysis. That is through the BACB. It's also expected that students who do go through our program will pursue that certification. This is a lot of hard work and training that goes into this program. It's worth your while to become board certified once you go through all the courses. And it's really important to point out that you can't take the courses and then call yourself a behavior analyst. You must go through and apply to the BACB and take that exam to become board certified. Okay, next slide. So our next slide was going to be Leslie Coleman, who's an alumnus of our program. Leslie contacted me this morning with a family emergency, and she was hoping to maybe join us this afternoon. We'll see if that happens. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and just give a little background on Leslie. And the good thing is Leslie was so nice in the middle of her family emergency. She did write down a few notes that she wanted to share with all of you. So I'm actually going to read her notes to you. And then also in the Q&A, please do ask questions that you have for her as a student, as an alumnus of the program, because she can answer some of those student related questions like what's it like to be in our program. And so please make sure that you do ask those questions, and we are going to facilitate getting those questions to Leslie so that she can answer them for you. Leslie is a behavior specialist in Anne Arundel County Public Schools. She graduated from our program in 2020, and she became board certified in October 2020. So I'm going to pull up her notes, and I'm going to read them to you so that I can share what she wanted to say. So hold on one second. I'm going to pull up my email real quick so I can get her information. So we had asked Leslie to talk about 3 different areas when she joined us. The first was, how does she use her BCBA certification in her current role? in Anne Arundel County, and what she learned from the ABA program at Johns Hopkins, what she thought about the faculty at Johns Hopkins, and then what surprised her about the program. So I'm going to read that information to you right now. And so she said that as a behavior specialist in Anne Arundel County Public Schools, her current role is primarily as a behavioral resource for teachers after they refer their most challenging students to her. So these students are mostly diagnosed as having emotional disabilities, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorders, and they all have IEPs, but they are mostly serviced in a general education setting. So Leslie's role is to provide teachers with effective data collection procedures, to assist in conducting functional behavior assessments, followed by the development of BIPs, behavior intervention plans. She's involved in a lot of modeling, coaching, and behavioral skills training as implemented through behavior intervention plans, which can be really challenging in public schools. So implementing those plans and how to train others to implement those plans. She also writes here that she does a wide range of professional development for staff and teachers, focusing on functions of behavior, antecedent behavior interventions, overall classroom management, and how to use positive reinforcement effectively in the classroom. So she has a variety of roles where she uses her certification in behavior analysis every day. Some notes that she made about what she learned from the program. She says here that although she came into the ABA program at Johns Hopkins with some basic knowledge about the function of behavior and some experience implementing behavior intervention plans and skill acquisition programs when she was an early intervention teacher, she said that this program, the Hopkins program, opened her eyes to the science and principles of applied behavior analysis. She says that she learned the importance of effective data collection and how to measure progress, and then how to use that data to make evidence-based decisions and essentially program for students. She also says here that she learned the importance of visual analysis, how to plot data on graphs to really see the effectiveness of the intervention. And she puts in parentheses here, I used to hate graphs, but now I love them. She also said that through the program at Hopkins, she learned to rely on research, how to differentiate between real evidence-based practice and intervention that is not evidence-based practice, how to really dissect an article and use the information wisely. And she says here, I could go on and on about the specifics I learned in the program, the terminology that was once foreign to me, but now used all the time. But overall, I learned how to teach the skills that are marked as deficits in our students and truly analyze behavior rather than rely on my bag of tricks as a special educator. She also says here that the program truly humbled her as she continued to grow and learn and seek supervision. I continue to be humbled because in practice, there's still so much to learn. And I think what is special about the program at Johns Hopkins in particular is that the focus on ethics, personal conduct, and attributes when practicing as a behavior analyst. And this is invaluable in her position when working with teachers who are at their wits' end in public school without resources and expertise and working with students who have severe interfering behavior. She goes on to talk about the faculty at Johns Hopkins and the staff at Johns Hopkins, from faculty to supervisors, practicum supervisors. She said that they are remarkable. There was never a time when I felt that I couldn't reach out for assistance. They were all brilliant in their craft and area of competency, supportive, always rooting for us to succeed. And she says here, this is a very challenging program with very difficult content, and the professors at Hopkins are sincerely top-notch in their delivery of instruction. Every activity, paper, task, etc. was relevant and well thought out. I believe that there was a 100% pass rate on the BCBA exam in 2020, if that tells you anything. So she stole my glory right there, because I'm going to share that with you guys very shortly. She said what surprised her about the program was that, she says here, I think what surprised me most about this program was, number one, the relationships that were formed in our cohort are lifelong. She says, I met the most amazing people. We call each other our ABA family. Throughout the program, we laughed together, cried together when things got tough, and we're just part of a huge supportive network that will continue even now that we are all certified. And number two, how much I love ABA and use it in my daily life as a mom, in my current job, and even in self-management of my own skills. When I'm around other BCBAs, I just geek out, speak the language, and love it. The rewards of seeing behavior change in my students is remarkable, and I never thought I'd be in the business of changing lives, but that is truly what we do as behavior analysts. We change lives, parents who can't take their kids to the grocery store, or children who struggle with peer relationships. The list is endless, and to be part of this kind of success is incredible. So I am so sorry that Leslie couldn't be here to share this information with you herself. She does a much better job than just me reading it. Hopefully maybe she will be able to join us for questions at the end. But if she is unable to do so this evening, then we will make sure to get your questions answered at the end. Please do feel free to ask those questions in our chat, and then we will make sure to share that information with Leslie, and she'll contact you by email. Also, I'd like to just sort of add on to what Leslie was talking about in her notes here, in that our program is a cohort program. So students who come in, the program begins in fall, and students who start with you will be with you throughout the entire program, which really is a benefit, as Leslie was mentioning, of networking, having study buddies when it comes to preparing for class, but also for preparing for the BCBA exam. We see these sort of natural groups form out of the cohort for people who, sort of move together in how they study. But that cohort model is a very important piece of our program as well, because you get to meet students from all different backgrounds in all different types of settings who have different professional goals. And it's really neat to see as a professor how students are able to grow and learn together. Okay, so if we can go on to the next slide. Some advantages of the program is that the focus of the ABA program at Hopkins is on education, and specifically K through 12, although we have had students who are, work with older adults in the field of applied behavior analysis. But our program is not like an ABA and autism program. We focus on all different types of disabilities. We are also the only graduate school of education in Maryland that offers this specialized certificate. Another advantage of our program is the Practicum experience, which I've provided. I described previously, where we provide you with a supervisor. There's a course associated with it. You're able to get all of your hours by the end of the 4 courses, and the experience associated with the course is available, but it's also individualized based on your skill level. Another really big advantage of the program, if you're familiar with the pass rates for the BCBA exam, it is a really tough exam to pass, but all of our students are passing above the national pass rate. In 2020, the pass rate for the exam was 66%. And we're excited to report that all of our students who graduated from the ABA program at Johns Hopkins and took the exam in 2020 did pass. So we had 100% pass rate on the exam. So you can see it's well above the national rate of 66. We've had 61 graduates who've become board certified. So of all of our students who take the exam, we have an overall pass rate of 97%. And then the final advantage, which I mentioned before, is that all of our faculty are board certified and have been practicing in the field every day and for many, many years. So they have the experience within the field to teach our students. Okay, next slide. Since our program began in 2013, we've had 84 students graduate from the program, variety of educational professionals, which I've reviewed previously. We also represent 10 different school systems across Maryland, as well as in DC. So we've had 7 cohorts complete the program. 61 graduates are now board certified. In the state of Maryland, you can also become a licensed behavior analyst. So many of our students who have remained in Maryland have gone on to become licensed behavior analysts. And we have 8 students who just graduated a mere month and a half ago, who are now all getting ready to take their exam this summer into fall 2021. So we are really excited for this fall to welcome our 9th cohort of this program. Cohort 8 is currently enrolled, and students coming in this fall will be our 9th cohort. Okay, next slide. So this is my last slide. I definitely feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, so I'm really excited to hear your questions. And usually Leslie or another alumnus who joins us gives me a little break from talking. So I definitely feel like I'm doing way too much talking tonight. But let me just end on this slide, which is the question is, who is an ideal program candidate? This is a question that I get a lot. So I'd like to answer this question in the webinar. One is the demonstration and desire to commit to this field of applied behavior analysis. So anybody who's sort of just looking for another certification or a few more letters after their name, this is definitely not the program for you. But if you are really interested in learning and applying the principles of behavior and understanding how to apply those principles and are committed to the field of applied behavior analysis, then this is definitely the program for you. Also, we expect that all of our program candidates understand the requirements to become board certified. We definitely support you along the way, but it is important that all of our candidates understand what those requirements are. There are a lot of requirements that are outlined by the BACB, and it's really important that all of our students are up on what those requirements are when changes occur. There's been many times I've had students that let me know about a change from the BACB before I see it. So it's important to understand what the requirements are, because those requirements continue even after you complete the program and become board certified. Finally, the ability to commit 2 to 3 years of intensive graduate coursework is definitely important. Leslie talked about that this is an intensive program. You know, I don't want to deter anybody from applying, but it is a really intensive program. You have to be ready to work and study hard. The benefits will definitely outweigh that hard work because you will be prepared to practice behavior analysis, but you need to be able to commit the time to studying. And then finally, demonstration of meeting all of the admission requirements and willing to work and study hard. So I know that our next slides are going to go into talking about those admissions requirements. So I thank you all for listening to me for this amount of time, and I hope to answer your questions shortly. I think that's my last slide, right? Yep, there you go.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. So now we're going to continue by going over the application requirements. First, a 3.0 or better cumulative undergraduate grade point average. Next, applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on our website. Please keep in mind the application fee is $80. Official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions attended. Again, this is from all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. Essay and a current resume. 2 letters of recommendation, and finally, the GRE is not required for this program. There are a few additional steps you need to take in order to complete the application process if you're an international student. You must submit a TOEFL or IELTS score, and if your degree was completed outside of the US, you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation, and additional information can be found on our website. The current tuition for the SOE is $875 per credit for face-to-face courses and $926 plus a $20 per credit technology fee for online courses. For additional information on tuitions and fees, please visit the Johns Hopkins School of Education website. And if you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. Please visit our website if you have any questions relating to financial aid. So thank you for attending the Postmaster Certificate in Applied Behavior Analysis virtual webinar. And at this time, we would like to open up the floor for questions. So the very first question we have, Jessica, is what is the approximate time commitment on a weekly basis to complete assignments?
So this is a great question, and this is usually a really good student question. So I'm going to try to answer it as a professor, but I would like to also reach this question out to Leslie and get back to you on that. But generally speaking, what I'll say is generally speaking, you have 2 courses a semester. So there is definitely an average per week time that you need to spend preparing for class. So each class is 3 hours. Many of the classes, we start off with quizzes in each class with the content, the reading content that was assigned for that week. So typically there'll be like a chapter or 2 chapters and maybe an article or 2 articles, really depending on the class. Each class does, majority of the classes do require a final exam and then papers throughout the semester. I don't want to throw out a number there because I'm probably going to get it wrong. And so I'd really like that to be a student question of how many actual average hours per week. I know that many of the students, because they are working full time, spend a lot of their time on the weekends preparing for class each week. I think that's a really good question for Leslie. So if you can bear with me on that question, Jessica, I can send that off to Leslie and get an answer for you.
Thank you. That would be great.
Okay, excellent.
Okay, next question that we have, this one was sent to me privately. You mentioned that classes will be in Columbia, Maryland. Is there an online option for this program as well?
This past year through the pandemic, we definitely offered our courses online because we couldn't meet in person. Our goal for the fall semester is to be face-to-face. We find that is the best way to learn within our program. All of our professors love to teach face-to-face, and we're able to really assess our students' skills and spend more of that individualized time. So our goal for this upcoming year is to offer the program face-to-face at our Columbia campus.
Thank you, Dr. Marta. There was a second part to that question as well. Can you advise specifically in Columbia where classes will be at this time?
Yeah, so they're going to be at the Applied Physics Lab, which is, I was actually looking at the address because this is a new site for us. I think I'm not sure if the address is actual Columbia, but it's right near Columbia. It's like the next town over, but it's the Columbia area. But we can get you the exact address. If anybody's interested in the exact address, we can definitely share that with you. But you can look on the website, on the Hopkins website. It is the Applied Physics Lab, and that will provide you with an address of where it is.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. I also received a message privately. The question is, once I complete this program, can I call myself a BCBA?
So you can, once you apply to the BACB and you sit for the exam and pass the exam. So you need to be able to provide the BACB with all of your documentation that you completed our course work, which is a verified course. So the BACB is familiar with the Johns Hopkins program. It's sort of on their list of programs, that are verified. You then need to complete the practicum coursework either with us or the fieldwork hours on your own. You send all of that information into the BACB. They deem you eligible to sit for the exam as long as you pass all of those requirements. And then once you are eligible to take the exam, you schedule the exam, pass the exam, and then you can call yourself a board certified behavior analyst.
Okay. The last question another question I received privately is, are you still accepting application for the fall semester?
We are still reviewing applications and accepting them. So if you are interested in applying for fall 2021, I would highly recommend that you complete your application as soon as possible. As we get closer to August, we really want to be making our decisions before the start of August. But as we get our final decisions, but as we get closer, mid-August, it's going to be really difficult to consider applicants for the fall semester. So anybody who is interested in applying, we do have a few more spots available. Now is the time to apply and complete that application pretty quickly. But do feel free to reach out to me with any questions about the application or what's required. And then also, we have these great contacts for you. I'll let you take that over soon and talk about that, who can also answer questions about the program and the application.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Martyr. So it looks like there are no more questions. Thank you again for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Thank you, Dr. Martyr, for your time and the wonderful presentation. And here on the slide, we have some important contact information. Any admissions related questions, please reach out to Tanya McMillan. Here is her contact information, and any program related questions, Camila Mika Sims. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.